people. Alright. Inna alhamdulillah wa kafah. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa. Wa ala ibadi alladhina irtada. Wa man bihudahum ihtada. Wa bi'athari ahli al-Madinah iqtafa. Wa ba'd. فالسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا Juan Ying Layth, bienvenidos a todos people, bakhair ragle, khushamadid, and as always, swagatam. What is going on? Alright. Let me just bring up. Alright. So let me just check on mi gente, Facebook. People, what's going down? Let me just check. There you guys can. The Facebook one always takes a while to load for some reason, but it's up. There it is. I see it. Let me just share my page here. Alright. Have we got things to discuss, people? Woo. Whoa. So. Un momentico, espérame. Let me just share this out to my other page. Since none of you guys are gonna share my stuff, खुद करना पड़ता है. Alright, that's done. That's what I'm talking about. You're doing it, people. You're doing it. Those of you just tuning in, you know the drill, people. You know, the fact that I repeated, it just, you know, it embarrasses you guys. Don't, you know. We're going to speak a bit about Muhammad Hijab later on, but I was seeing some of his memes where he's like, don't humiliate yourself in front of me. I thought, what a dialogue, huh? What a quote. That one, nice quote, huh? Well, he's doing it. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? Those of you just tuning in, you know the drill now. Whew. Wow. So, where's my... पानी से प्यास ना बुझी तो मैं खाने की तरफ चल निकला. That's it, people, that's it. What is going down? Alright, Daniel, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué lo que, hermano? What's going down? Right, so, people, boy, have we got some interesting things to discuss tonight. I want to take a look at, obviously, also one of our beloveds who's right now, he's plunged as deep as you can get in the deepest pits of controversy. That is Sheikh Yasir Qazi Sahib. So we're going to look at that in the Masala segment. But I will be looking at the topic then. I will be looking at the topic of what is the nature of the Quran. Yeah, you know, these guys, they decide to take a plunge and they take us all down with them. So I'll be taking a little look at that as well. I did want to speak a little bit about those of you that are familiar with the Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput. I want to speak a bit about him as well, having committed suicide. And it's not so much about him, but the topic of suicide really, and life and death. So we'll come to that. What else was there? Did I make any notes, anything so I don't forget? There's no, that's, I take it that more or less. So we're halfway through this year, people. Halfway through. And if I, you know, if 2020 was a swing, people, this was right. This is it right in front of us, what we're looking at. So, that's what the year has been about, people. Just one thing after another. An incredibly interesting year. Oh, people, I haven't brought about any. I haven't. Our general ritual of sharing some poetry that I've come across. So, there's this new poet I've come across, and I just want to share a brief part of his poem. His name is Afkar Alwi, and he's from Pakistan, I believe. Young poet, very simple. And you know, if you hear, this is somebody else reciting his poetry, but his own, when he recites it himself on YouTube, there's a very natural charm to him, and almost somewhat of a you know, a kind of rustic charm. He seems very rural, very interesting, but he has a very an amazing poem called Murshid, addressing his Pir Sahab or his Murshid. And
अदब वाले की जानिब से अदब वालों के लिए मुर्शिद किसी की जात से कोई गिला नहीं, अपना नसीब अपनी खराबी से मर गया। मुर्शिद वो जिसके हाथ में हर एक चीज है, शायद हमारे साथ वही हाथ कर गया, शायद हमारे साथ वही हाथ कर गया। मुर्शिद दुआएं छोड़, तेरा पोल खुल गया, तू भी मेरी तरह है, तेरे बस में कुछ नहीं। इंसान मेरा दर्द समझ सकते ही नहीं।
this, I was just sharing a brief extract with you guys from his poetry. It is really profound, deeply profound. He's having this kind of dialogue with his spiritual guide, Murshid, and where he challenges, but in a unique way, challenges a lot of these preconceptions. It's definitely worth checking out, people. So, what is going on, people? What is going on? Mufti skin fade halal. You know it is, people. You know it is. You know what I do is halal, people. I gotta energize myself. So, people, what is going down? What does salat mean in the Quran? Salat means to pray, and the general understanding of salat is it is the 5 daily prayers. So, people, what is going on? What is going on? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? So, right, let's hear the. Oh, right, yes, I forgot all about this. I had this on today. That's what I'm talking about, people. Acing it through life, huh? Acing it. So, people, check this out. This is how, you see, this is how you have to survive in life. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you feel cornered, like when somebody says, I need to check your phone. So check this out. This is the kind of genius. Right, now that's what I'm talking about. I came across this, I was like, "Wah, that's the genius that." So, what are the problems, people? Somebody said the audio is rattling. Ah, un momento. Let me see now. Has that fixed it? Let me bring up. Alright. Bring up the comments. Right, so, has that fixed it now? I suppose I'll let you guys respond whilst I take a sip. Yeah, yeah. So, what is bothering? Right, so what's going on, people? What's going on? Right, so talk to me. What's preoccupying the precious minds of mi gente? What's going down, people? Mufti, what does it mean by changing creation of Allah? You see, this is a concept that some scholars have developed, but they're basing it on the verse of the Quran where Shaitan is saying, I will change the creation, I will change your creation. فَلَأُغَيِّرَنَّ, I will make them deform each other. That's exactly what it meant about deforming, mutilating, destroying. That's what it was talking about. It's not talking about things like, I don't know, like piercings or talking about even tattoos in that sense. It's not talking about things like this. It's talking about destroying. Okay, so, yeah, so not makeup. Although an argument could be made for makeup. You know, sometimes you see certain things and you think, bloody hell. You know, you see some of these things on Instagram where they'll show a girl will be there and she'll have makeup on and then she'll start kind of removing something, you know, like her eyelashes, and then she'll have something over here. It's some kind of a tape, and she'll remove that, and then she'll remove something else, and then she'll remove something else, her eyebrows, and then she'll remove some. And it's like, what the hell is that? You're left with a totally different person. That's that's a it's a Benji. That's one of those ones where it's gonna be like auntie. Somebody was just here a moment ago. Did you right, Azarati, you're doing it, Shukran, much love for the super chat, you're doing it. What's going down, people? If a woman has to yeah, somebody had just asked a question and I thought, let me where did it go? Oh, here it is. Hanafi Al-Afghani has asked Mufti a question, pressing question, people. Just in case you're thinking, yeah, you know, we can't be. Is it mandatory if the woman? I'm not sure where to place the comma here. Is it mandatory if, the woman? Yeah, what's going on? How is this jigsaw seems to be taking a life of its own? If the woman has to shave She has to shave her pubic hair. What? I'm trying to figure this question out. Is it mandatory if the woman? Is it mandatory? I gotta break this down in some kind of formula to understand it, to grasp it. Is it mandatory if the woman has to shave the... Is what mandatory? I don't... There's so many levels to this question. I think I'm just not getting it. It's at a much deeper level. Right, so... Does Hanafi al-Afghani is incredibly perturbed. He is in some deep contemplative thought right now. He's trying to fathom the... On one hand, he's got, you know, the quantum... he's dealing with Schrodinger's equation. He's dealing with all these quantum formulas, and he's looking at, you know, we've got the Hamiltonian kind of operator here. On the other hand, we've got, is it the mandatory if? The pubic hair. Yeah, oof, this one. Well, it's good to know that Hanafi al-Afghani, we're going to have to let the universe just kind of handle the pubic hair for a while. But I'm sure the woman will take care of her own pubic hair. So, shant ho jaiye. So, what is going on? Where have we got to? Oh, there was another super chat. Did I miss it? Right, Azarati, Sheikh, people of Kahf, did they actually sleep 300 years? Right, so I've got a video on that where I'm explaining that, look, Allah is saying, they say that it was 309 years or 300. It's, they are saying it. This is how we're understanding the verse. And that's actually how I believe Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh, he had read that verse. He'd actually put in there, there was an interpolation of qalu, they said. And Allah says, Wallahu a'lamu bima labithu. Allah is better, knowing. He is most knowledgeable about what they actually spent there. Right, so somebody says, fake Mufti, fake Mufti, fake Mufti, but I'm still gonna watch him. Mufti, what are your top 5 movie series of all time? Oof. So many. I mean, I don't know. It's so difficult. Series, I think Money Heist has to be up there amongst them. Definitely. I mean, there's so many. I actually, you know, there was a recent Bollywood one that was very interesting on Prime. Called Patal Lok. I found it incredibly profound. So many layers to it. That would definitely be one of the most hard-hitting TV series. But yeah, dramatic, emotional, put that out there. This Is Us, definitely amongst them. Right, let's move on, people. Are there any scientific issues not answered by Islam? Ridwan Patel. Well, if there are, answer them. I mean, I'm sure there are, but I think if your question is, does Islam fail to answer them? I don't think Islam fails, but I'm sure there's many questions that haven't been asked yet. Sure, people will ask them. Right. The shock, the horror, and the trauma of the bush. I think you're still talking about that discussion. Right, so what is going on? Mufti, is it haram to buy a mansion and a Rolls Royce if you can buy it, but to people it looks extravagant? Hi, Foz Mutabi. You know, Foz, if I help you out with this question, with my Rolls Royce here, you know, this one not nice, you know, this one, we help you out, but then we, with bus pass. Right, so, you see, look at the audacity, people. Asking a question about buying a mansion and a Rolls Royce, and not even asking it with a super chat. Asking it as a freebie. This is the day and age. This is what we're dealing with, people. You know, like, this is the no class at all by these people. Yeah, you know. Yeah, this is why sometimes I feel like, you know, let's give up on this world and just join Sheikh Yasser Qadi. What is going on, people? What is going on? So, what is going on? Do you need to read Facebook? Wait there, let me come to the Facebook. Alright, there you are, people. Alright, you're doing it, people. Haydar, you're doing it. Obaid, Hena, look at that. Usual Facebook crew. Mi gente are there, doing it. With his Ace Ventura talks to animals. With he is ass. I wish people would come onto my live a bit more sober, you know, or at least having earned a few more days with the AA. That's not the road repair service, I mean the Alcoholics Anonymous. Right, so what is going on? What is going on? Zeba, you're doing it. Zeba G is asking, have you ever felt being on a trip like a roller coaster while reading the Quran from start to finish? Wow. Have I felt... I mean, I've not ever, you know, झूठ काहे को बोलें, you know, why lie? That I've never read the Quran in one sitting from beginning to the end. I mean, the Quran is incredibly lengthy. It's 30 ajza. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it would take you the better part of a day to do something like that. Now, so I've never done that, if that's what you mean. Have I read, like, sat down and started from Alhamdulillah and finished at one nas? I've never done that. I've obviously read the Quran many times, but I've not read it like that. If you're asking, have I had an experience ever whilst reading the Quran? Of course, I'm sure many people have. You know, I'll tell you something. The interesting thing, I think I shared this with you guys before. You know, I'd heard before, many years ago, this hadith, which is attributed to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the scholar, everything about him is an act of worship. Yeah. And, you know, it mentions his sleeping, his wakefulness, his walking, his everything about him. And you think that's nice, you know, it sounds good, and it's very encouraging to learn to become a scholar. But you think, well, this is just really exaggeration, hyperbole, pure hyperbole, hyperbolic exaggeration, just to say, well, you should learn about the deen. And that's how I understood this hadith for the better part of my ilmi journey ever. For, probably like since I've heard that hadith as a teenager, probably for about 2 decades, that's how I understood it. But in recent times, I came to understand that there's an angle to this hadith that I didn't really grasp before. And that is that, when you have studied and you have read, you've learned Arabic, you've studied the Quran, you study these things, you will forever be kind of hinged with Islamic thought, even when you're not. You could, for example, like I could be, in the middle of anything or doing something, and then I may just hear a verse of the Quran somewhere. Like, let's say I hear it on the radio, or I hear, like, I'm not even trying to listen to, I'm not saying I'm trying to listen to tilawah, I'm not. Like, let's say doing something and a verse of the Quran comes on. It immediately will set an anchor in your psyche. It comes and immediately connects its meaning, its backdrop, the whole thing becomes animated imminently. That's on one hand. The other thing, you will forever be kind of thinking about things. Like you might be watching something, you might be considering something, reading something else, not religious. But along comes a point and you might think, oh yeah, what's this? And in the back of your mind, there's all this, oh yes, he said this and this scholar and this thing and this, isn't there a hadith and isn't there a... It just doesn't switch off. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's... And you start to realize, I see what that hadith kind of meant. You forever become hinged on with Islam. Even when you're not, you still are. So it's amazing. I have to say it's amazing, yeah. Right, let's get back to some of those questions. Azarati is saying, most intriguing thing you've ever come across in tafsir. Fawz Mutabi has said, oh, Rolls Royce guy's back. He said, here's some money. See, this is the kind of people that, a super chat for 199 people. Yeah, and what's the ruling on a Rolls Royce? Yeah, there's a saying that in Urdu, ke chullu bar pani mein, like, in that much water, like this, this is what people use for wudu. In that much water, drown yourself and die. That's actually a kind of idiomatic statement in Urdu. So this is this is the day and age that we're facing nowadays. People saying, "Look here, here's a pound," and you think, "Yeah, cha." I'm sorry, you talking to me? Shall we keep Fa'uz Mut'abi? Huh? Mut'abi. What kind of is it? Mut'ab? Is it seriously Mut'ab? We've been knackered out, like tired out. Mut'ab. Shall we keep him in a bit of suspense? Alright, so what is going on? Arthur Decker, you're doing it. Briefly, what is the difference between Sharia and Islamic law, or are they the same? Sharia and Islamic law is the same thing. It's just a translation of saying what is the Sharia. In English, you would translate it as Islamic law. That's a very simple question. Look at that. In case people say, why does Mufti not answer the questions? I just answered one. Right, the Mia Jusuf controversy. Qazi Saab cha rahe hain, Qazi Saab. Zalmo, Qazi Charai, Qazi. There was a headline years ago when I was a student in Pakistan. I can't even remember what the politics were, but one of the people, his surname was Qadi in Arabic. So which also means judge, and they were like, Zalmo Qazi Arai Qazi, which means like, you haramis, like in a criminal sense. The judge is coming, Qazi. So, Mufti, did you worked with the Provent, huh? The Provent. You're teasing me, you. Un momento. Alright, so, well, I've got a whole detailed interview explaining all of this. This is nothing hidden. Many years ago, about a decade ago, yeah, I think 2010, 2011, something like that. I did some mentoring, and I did some mentoring with Prevent, as did many people, and it was good. I spoke to certain people who, it was all on a voluntary basis for the people. I mean, it's all on the people, it's not like a forced thing. The people could have said, no, they don't want to talk to me. What it is some people have some extremist ideas, and rather than having a non-Muslim speak to them, they say, would you like to speak to an imam? So the authorities will reach out to local imams and say, would you be interested in engaging people who have extremist tendencies? And it's voluntary. They don't have to engage you. They can say no. So, yeah, so I also partook in that program for something like about 2 years at that time. I think it was till about 2012, something like that. Now, and in that time, I spoke to several people who, I mean, not always all of them, but some of them were just, many of them were just being foolish and silly. They weren't really extremists in my understanding, but they were saying dumb stuff. Like, so for example, in colleges, they were saying to the lecturers, oh, we're going to call, Osama bin Laden on, and we're gonna call Al-Qaeda, who's gonna blow up this place. Ha 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 ha. and they think that's funny. And obviously the people looking at them are like, what the hell's wrong with these people? So you get people like, there was many people like that I saw at the time. So you just have a sensible chat with them, tell them, look, be a bit sensible, don't say stupid, dumb, don't say dimwit stuff like that. And then there were some people who were hardline extremists. Hardline. They believe that these people should be dead. They believe that you should, I spoke to some people who said that they'd love to blow themselves up in the UK. I spoke to some people who said that they want to, in the UK, commit like a Mumbai-style attack in one of the city centres with guns, just shooting people dead. And most of the people I engaged with, alhamdulillah, they over months and months of talking to them, being like chilled out, you're chilled out. And it's nothing hidden. In the beginning, you introduce yourself as, do you want to engage with me or not? The authorities will ask them. You're not even asking them. It's nothing, you're not spying on them. The authorities will say to them, are you prepared to engage with an imam? And some of them will say no, so no. And some of them will say, go on then, to test the imam maybe, or maybe they're genuinely interested. And, and the authorities will look out, and they might ask you, they might ask a different imam, they might ask. So these people that I engaged with, alhamdulillah, almost most of them that had dangerous kind of mindsets, as far as I'm aware, did kind of turn away from that way of thinking. So, I mean, like the person saying he wanted to commit you see, they, and they would say these things knowingly, they know that this is what they're saying. They're not like, they would say that, I want to blow people up, I want to kill people, I believe kuffar should die. And you'd ask them, why do you think like that? Why do you think kuffar should die? Where do you get this from? And then you'll engage them. And yeah, so alhamdulillah, most of them, maybe not all of them, but most of them did change their views. Or at least change them from that level. I'm not saying they became hippie or love, but they kind of realized, like over time, speaking, telling them, well, actually, did you know this companion was like this? Did you know this? Did you know that's interesting? Did you know how the Prophet transacted with non-Muslims? Did you know this? Did you know that? And yeah, and it's also about building a kind of rapport, a kind of bond with people, mentoring them. So yeah, this isn't something I'm ashamed of or anything. I don't know why people sometimes I've noted sometimes people, now it's less, but a while back they would mention it in comments like, you did mentoring. I'd be like, well, acha. So you want people to become extremists. Is your dad going to go and do the mentoring? It's like, there's no winning with some people. You have some people that, unfortunately, like I said, most of them were just silly and foolish, but there were some very dangerous elements amongst them. They just hadn't acted out on anything, but they had, and some were worse than others. But they had their mindset had been infected. So yes, of course, I'm happy that I did work with some of these people. I met them. I managed to change a lot of their minds. Some of them I couldn't change their mind. They weren't, they were just too stubborn. And I hope, they haven't, obviously I only did it for a period of time, but I hope after that they didn't go out and do anything somewhere ridiculous, because some of these people, by the way, did, they later on went off to join ISIS and stuff like this. So yeah, and listen, don't ever feel that you have to apologize or you have to justify the actions of extremists just because they're Muslims. We don't owe them anything, right? If a person is a nutcase, right, first of all, you can try to help them. You can try to do this, yes, of course. But just because we're Muslims and this is a Muslim community, I don't need to feel that, that guy's an extremist, he wants to kill kuffar, I have to somehow take his side. I don't need to take his side. He's bloody infected. His mindset is poisonous. It's cancerous. I'm not part of him. I've got nothing to do with him. To me, he is absolute. Yes, of course, I would try to help him, but I'm not going to try to say us versus them. He's definitely not the us. In fact, according to most of these people, most Muslims are the them. We're not the us. They used to consider most normal Muslims to be kafirs. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. Right, Mufti Sahib, have you seen Ghamidi Sahib's tafsir? What's your views on it? I haven't seen his tafsir actually, so Oh, there was a question. Right. Damn. Oh, here it is. Right, Mufti, I've made you £4 richer now. People, should he keep going? I think he needs to keep going. It's not quite enough. That's like, what is that? What is that, like 2 coffees? What is that, people? Yeah, this is undervaluing my my expertise. He has no idea what I charge. Right, so let's فوز متعب لا 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 بد أن نتعبك أكثر من هذا. Right, so what is going on? What is going on, people? Opinion on Cage. What do you mean by Cage, by the way? What do you mean by Cage? Because there's many things coming to my mind. Mufti, how many wives you have? you harami. You're trying to set me up. Acha, how many wives do I have? You're trying to get me to confess to something. There's some things in this world that if I don't speak about them, there's wisdom, there's method to my madness. You can't handle my private life. I can't handle my private life, so how can you handle it? Right, so what's going on? No, not that cage, the cage. The cage, the cage. What this cage, man? What we talk about, man? Opinions of Dawat-e-Islami. Opinion Dawat-e-Islami. Marhaban, Mufti Abu Layth. Usman Tahir, Mufti, what are the devils that lead us astray? Well, there's a good few of them on this chat. They also sometimes they come in the form of pop-ups whilst you're on the internet. Where you're like, huh? Acha, cha, cha. Right, so that's right. Let's go through. Somebody had posted a super chat. I've missed his super chat. Oh, here he is. Handsome Hound, you're doing it. You're doing it. I'm getting bold and I need a hair transplant. Is it altering the creation of Allah, like Satan says about cattle ears? And is plastic surgery allowed? Plastic surgery, these things are permissible. They're not haram, and it is not altering the creation of God. A hair transplant is fine. I mean, you can go get a hair transplant, and why not? I say to people that, look, you know, when I'm speaking to people, if it's bothering you and you're going bald, and I can imagine it would bother people, then in that sense, you know, if you find an alternative that suits you better, like if you're saying, well, go for a transplant, go for a transplant. I mean, if I was in that situation, I would go for a transplant. But I mean, why not? I mean, it's your own hair. They're taking your hair, putting it back on. It's not like you're altering the creation of God. You're saying, I'm adjusting the creation of God. The angels go, acha, acha, acha. Chalo ye theek hai, theek hai. They go, altering, acha, acha, acha. Adjusting. You're adjusting. So the angels go, don't worry, we'll just adjust the heat of Jahannam for him. Don't worry. No, it's permissible. It's permissible. And, you know, even plastic surgery isn't... Because, look, when you look at the life... Obviously, you're not going to find plastic surgery in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. You're not going to find that. That's obvious. But, like, if you do, you know, you can find, you know... Allah miya ishare dete hain, ishare. You can find certain isharat, okay, indications, people. Now, let me give you an example. You see, there's a certain companion who, during a particular battle, had his nose cut off. So he got struck and his nose got sliced off. Now, he took for himself a nose made out of gold. Yeah, so it's in a famous hadith. It's a known incident. So he used to wear this nose made out of gold. Now this nose made out of gold served no function. Like, so you get, for example, people would have teeth or a tooth made out of gold. Now that has a function, at least, you know, it helps you chew. It doesn't, the gold doesn't corrode, you know, it doesn't, you know, it's a good element, it's easily malleable, you know, there's several things about it. But having a nose made out of gold serves no purpose at all besides aesthetics, besides beauty. You feel that the obviously not having a nose would be a horrific kind of, image. So it would scare people, and the person themselves would feel that, you know, they wouldn't feel good. So having, even if it's a golden nose, but still it's something. Now this was purely aesthetics. Now the Prophet didn't say, what are you doing? You know, oh, you should be, you know, why are you worried? You know, like how these some of these dogmatists will say, why are you worried what people will say, what people will say, What do you mean, what people will say? Obviously, it bothers the person psychologically. So, this is a prime example that, aesthetics is fine, and doing something for that is fine. So, okay, I hope that helps. What is going on? Foes is still asking about his Rolls Royce, people. What should we say? Shall we put it to the test? I mean, to a vote. You know, this is, you know, people, when they go to their sheikhs, they buy their sheikh a Rolls Royce. They say, have you seen how Sheikh Saqib Shami, Pir Saqib Shami Saab, people, his disciples, or not disciples, but his murids have bought him a yacht. And me over here on Facebook Live, they're too busy asking about themselves. This, yeah, mano, mutu. This is the kind of congregation I get. Go on then, foes. You know what? Go on then. Your Rolls Royce, go on then. Yeah, go on. It's haram, huh? Wasn't that the answer you were expecting? It's haram. Chalo, it's not haram. Kasme, huh? Wallahu. You know, it's only a qasam if you say wallahi, not if you say wallahu. Wallah. I went silent. Now you don't know whether I used wa as a connective or did I use wa as the oath. So people, let's take some questions. Don't worry, you get the Rolls Royce. You get it. Don't worry. Angels, take note. Grab him first. With his Rolls Royce. Fi nari jahannam. So what is going on? No, don't worry about it. Get it. Live life, man. Live it. So, Mufti Saab, your thoughts on Ibn Hazm? Ibn Hazm is a legend. I love Ibn Hazm, honestly. Right, so, can I hug you? Huh? Can I hug you? Wait a minute. Is that a guy or a girl? They say, why should we just get happy with cha? It's a guy. Wimmer, huh? Emir. The name sounds strange. Is it a jinn? Right, so what is going on? Faisis has asked the question, Mufti, is penis enlargement haram? Oh, yeah, I was looking if I had my truncheon around here. Where's my truncheon gone? Right, so it's a serious question, this is, people. Come on, behave. This is a serious question. Penis enlargement, is it haram? Well, you know, this is a rather, you know, this is a question of great proportion. You know, this is a question that really has many larger than life Ramifications to it. Yeah. What about this one? You know, where's the person? Physis is his name. Physis, look at Bichara. See the miskin. He's asking as well, with no super chat, just the question saying, look, and that too such a prominent question. What do you think, people? Should we vote it up? What's the vote? Is it shall we, you know, but these kind of things, to be fair, are very important. They could save the person. They could, you know, they could add considerable length to a person's mental well-being. Yeah, I mean, it's not haram. Ugh, it's not haram. Let's give him some hope in life. Some hope. So, what is going on, people? What is going on? Right, so, yeah, I mean, for some people, you know, you do read some of these questions, and it is very, because you read some of these questions that are obviously about, I mean, about real people, not just here, elsewhere, they might read online. And you do think that, ya salam, the struggle is real for people. It's a very, because, you know, I was thinking about this. I wasn't thinking about micro penises. I was thinking about this, what I'm about to say. So that, you have to, don't join that statement with my previous. Yeah. So I was thinking about this, which I'm about to say. That, you see, in this world, we are kind of laden with all these desires. Now, the desires preoccupy us and they kind of weigh us down. But in some ways, and we are imprisoned, we are prisoners to our desires. Yet, if we weren't to have them, we would still, it just wouldn't feel right either. Or I don't know, like that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that it would feel odd and that we're lacking something. So we seem to be on in life, it's like we will never find contentment. And in many ways, this is what Freud was saying when he said the pleasure principle and the death principle, that this pleasure principle keeps people unsettled and they're seeking a kind of stillness, a tranquility, and that really is only achieved in death, which is ironic because, you know, you're seeking it in life and really where you only attain it when there is no more life. I find that so enigmatic, but so you know, just mind-boggling. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? Am I going to paradise if I commit suicide? Let's come to that question in a moment. We're going to speak a bit about that anyway. So, Mufti, if Ibn Rushd said we can't trust dreams of seeing the Prophet, why do majority of the Sunni Muslims follow Ash'ari who said he saw the Prophet in his dream and created Ash'arism? Yeah, but that's not really why people follow Ash'ari, Abul Hasan al-Ash'ari. They follow him because that school of thought took off. The dream thing is just, you know, that's just, it's just, you know, kind of like decorum. It's just something that they've used later on to add to the argument. It's not why the Ash'ari thing took off. Have you made a research on Muslim Gate? I'm not sure what Muslim Gate is. What is Muslim Gate? Travis McDowell, well, my Moroccan wife has started saying naughty, naughty. You naughty, naughty. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? Right, alright. Mufti, do you disagree with the Hizb? Who is the Hizb? Is that Hizb al-Tahrir or is it a different Hizb? Who are the Hizb people? God, I've been trying to change my routine for the past week, and what has it been more now? And I've been trying to live a bit like normal people. I've gone from being a vampire to, and it's just wow. Honestly, my world is like literally upside down right now. Right, so we're in bed. Those things, if I talk about those things, become a scandal. The scandal can't handle the scandal. So, right, so Billy Boy is saying Mufti is feeling tired. Yeah, I get human. You see, I have to let you guys always know that I'm a human. Just in case, some people start can't have you guys committing shirk. Name 10 haram acts. His name is Muqsanam, with the N is backwards. Muqsanam. Well, your name is haram. Your very existence. Right, so, well, you see, the thing is this. You've got to remember something, people. It's not, people think that if we didn't have a list of do's and don'ts, how would this religion survive? That problem lies with you. You have been conditioned to believe that religion is a list of don'ts, because and some do's, commands and prohibitions. This is in your mind. The religion didn't have to have any commands or any prohibitions. The religion, in essence, is about human beings just reconnecting with God. That's all it's about. Are all hadith in Bukhari, in other collections as well? No. All hadith are not necessarily in other books of hadith. Sorry, all Bukhari's hadith are not necessarily in other books of hadith. Many maybe, but not all. It's not a... So, what is going on, people? What is going on? Are we meeting our parents in Jannah, in Jannat? I love the way Jannah is spelled as Jannat. There's a tha at the end. Everybody's confused. Even the angels are confused. Where's this Jannat? Jannat? Janet? It's... must be somewhere else. It must be where obviously all the parents have gone. Mufti, Muslim Gate is if you made research like Bukhari Gate. Right, okay. I haven't done that with Sahih Muslim because really the center is all about Bukhari. Bukhari is the gold standard. So that's why you see, I didn't attack Bukhari as in, I suppose it could be seen as an attack, I get that, but it's not what I was trying to do. And I explained in the beginning of my video, Bukhari Gate, that Bukhari is three. Okay, there's the man, the Imam, there's the book, and then there's the myth. Now, the man is somebody I respect, and I've got nothing against the man, Imam Bukhari. the book, I've just raised question marks on it, and the myth I attack. The legend, this mythical entity called Sahih Bukhari that people place, they say the whole of Islam must rotate around. So what is going on? Do you disagree with Hizb ut-Tahrir? Is that even a question? Seriously, does anybody take Hizb ut-Tahrir seriously? Right now, so Hizb ut-Tahrir are obviously an extremist. They are a Khawarij kind of movement. So I don't, I don't like them. I don't respect them. I see Hizb ut-Tahrir as a cancer in this ummah. They're just they're a useless bunch, but if they ever get their way, they are there's a huge amount of monstrosity awaiting. But it's just that they haven't managed to get their way. If you read their books mention about using any means necessary, trying to do a military coup d'etat, killing people, massacring people. They say it's all justified. There's no harm in things like that. But they do add the caveat in Muslim lands. Acha. That makes it better. So the people you're going to kill are Muslims, so that's okay now. Take it. So what is going on? Somebody mentioned about Imam Bukhari is vouched for by Imam Tirmidhi. Yeah, now you see, Imam Bukhari is obviously, he doesn't need to be vouched for by Imam Tirmidhi. He is greater than Imam Tirmidhi as a scholar of hadith. I'm not saying that. His book, Sahih al-Bukhari, we know that Imam Bukhari had a book called Sahih al-Bukhari. That much we know. The question is that the Bukhari that reaches us today? Is that the same Bukhari? And are the hadith contained within verbatim the hadith that he had placed in his book? Because I would argue that there is a margin of error. And first of all, I would argue that you can by no means prove this book going back to the Imam. You can't prove it. This actual copy. And the other unanswerable question that I presented as part of my Bukhari gate was the enigmatic Fabry, Fabry, this Muhammad ibn Yusuf al-Farabri, nobody has vouched for him, and Sahih al-Bukhari arrives or is passed down only through him. The bottleneck effect is Farabri, and Farabri chokes the hell out of any authenticity because he isn't vouched for. So that is a problem. So yeah, that's Bukhari Gate in a nutshell. Right, somebody said I'll vouch for him. Yeah, I'm sure you will. And that's not to say we should throw Bukhari in the bin, but it's to say that we should treat Bukhari, each hadith in it, individually upon its own merits. So what is going on? What is extremist or Khawarij? Well, does that really require answering? What is extremist? Come on, people. You could do better than that. There were thousands of students that took from Imam Bukhari. You know, that isn't actually one of the nails in the coffin of of the myth of Bukhari, because when we say thousands of people took from him, the fact that none of them ever forwarded it on, I mean, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Like, if I'm gonna say that this guy is so amazing, that's like saying, imagine I say Stephen Hawking is so amazing at physics. He's so amazing that not a single physicist ever quoted him. You see, that's like, what? That argument is dynamite to the myth of Sahih Bukhari, because the fact that so many people heard him, yet nobody, Muti'ur quoted Imam Tirmidhi. Imam Tirmidhi is a student of Imam Bukhari. He quotes Imam Bukhari when it comes to narrators, as in his Ilal, in his Jami' Tirmidhi, he will on several occasions say, Sa'altu Muhammadan. Who is this Muhammad? It's Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Ju'afi. That's Bukhari. Who else is it? Now, he will quote him. Abu Dawood will quote him. You will get people, they will quote Imam Muslim, will quote Imam Bukhari when it comes to narrators, as in which narrator, who said what. They will quote Muhammad ibn Ismail. Will they transmit a single hadith from Imam Bukhari? Does Tirmidhi transmit a single hadith from him? No, not even one. Not even one hadith from his giant of an ustad. That is so, like, you just think about that. What on earth is going on here? Right? There is none. There is none. There is no hadith. I don't mean he's transmitting a statement. He's not transmitting a hadith from him in the sense with a full sanad, the way you transmit hadith. In his Jami' al-Tirmidhi, there is nothing transmitted from Muhammad ibn Ismail as a hadith. He transmits from him in the sense of saying, I asked him about this narrator and he said this. He may transmit a discussion on a hadith, but he won't transmit hadith from him. You know why? This is such a known fact. This is so known. Why is it known? This is why some people went to the extent, and I don't go to that extent, but they went to the extent to say even Imam Bukhari is majhul. Why is he majhul? Lam yarwi anhu illa al-Farabri. Because really, for a person to be well known, you need at least two people to narrate from them. And that, I find that to be a radical statement. I don't agree with it, but the person said, oh, Muhammad ibn Ismail is really majhul because the only person who ever narrated from him was Farabri. So Farabri is a myth, I'm telling you. Farabri's there. I'm not, but he's nothing like the way people have made him out. You know, now retrospectively, he's an imam. Conveniently, he's become an imam of his time. Acha, acha, acha. Farabri. Farabri, yeah. Let me tell you something about Farabri. Farabri lives in the time of these great imams. Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i. Farabri allegedly, Nasa'i allegedly asked Farabri to give him ijaza in Bukhari's works and things like this, allegedly, yeah? Ibn Hibban, junior to him, Ibn Hibban, Ibn Khuzaymah, all these great, the era, whoa, the giants of hadith, all there, living. His own student, one of his students, Ibn Sakan, Hafid of hadith, yeah? Theek hai. Do any of these muhaddithin that know him vouch for him as reliable? Does one even say Farabri is reliable? Come on, that's the least you can do. Think about it. You know the guy. You're asking him for help on hadith, and you're going to talk about other people. You know, the other people wo kya chache lagte hain, you know, who the hell are the... You can mention he's also one of your teachers, allegedly. You know, you are taking from, you're benefiting from him. You can say this guy is reliable. Did a single person who ever knew Farabri declare him to be reliable? No, not even a single one. So this is the problem, you see. This one big problem, you know, big problem. Ah, Farabri. But anyway, that's moving on. And this problem that I put forward towards Bukhari Gate, nobody can resolve that problem. That is irresolvable. Because Farabri is dead. And the people of his era are dead. What are you going to do? You're going to revive them back to life and then get them to vouch for him. This, you see, with this one, checkmate. You know, I checkmate you. You know, this one. Oh, where to go, what to do. So, people... Right now, what is going down? Your hair is like Brad Pitt's. You nutty, you teasing me? Brad Pitt? Right, so, somebody saying, was Ibn Hajar's Fathul Bari based on Farabri's copy? Of course it was. All Sahih Bukhari that has ever been transmitted, and that has been properly transmitted and taught, what they call bis-sama' al-muttasil bis-sama', what they call in Arabic, is only been through Farabri. And then there's other problems with Farabri as well, which I'm not mentioning here. If you can watch my detailed video of Bukhari, I'll do a Yasir Qadi. Come to my course. Yasir Qadi. Business cards. Entrepreneurship. Right, so... yeah, so there's other problems. His own students, Abu Ishaq al-Mustamli, saying, look, we used to move what was around. Him admitting that our teacher Farabri, his own copy of Bukhari was incomplete. It wasn't a complete version. Then him saying we used to change around hadith, put some here, some there. Then the students, despite them using one asal, one copy, them all varying what they're writing, including entire sanads being different sometimes. You know, there's a lot of problem, you know, don't mess, you know, otherwise, this is why, look, I'm helping you guys with this. I'm not saying throw Bukhari in the bin. I'm saying be real with it. Trust me, this will help you in the future. You know, jo jhatka lagega na, you know, when, like right now what Yasir Qadi has done with the Quran, when this comes back to you and it will bite you in the ass with when other people reveal this, you will be grateful that I had revealed this much before. So if you treat it as it is, it won't cause any damage. It will just be real. You will treat it because you're going to be honest about it. The problem is when you're not prepared for reality. I'm preparing you. I'm doing you guys a favor. So you should be grateful. This is hurting me more than it's gonna hurt, than it's hurting you. Right, so Mufti Abu Layth, does the hadith with Muhammad said there is no punishment for parents killing children? I've never heard of that hadith. I don't know what hadith you're talking about, and there would never be a hadith like that. Because that would clearly go against the Quran. Right, so, alright. So, somebody said Yasir Qadi is a good scholar. I'm going to come to Yasir Qadi in the Masala segment. Good he is. Good. This one, good. This one, problem is he's not good. Problem is he's too good. If he was just good, it's not a problem. Problem is he's too good, yeah. This one, this this one too good, too good. So we're gonna come back to him. Let's pause off for Yasir Qadi Saab, but we have got for him. Where did I store that? Let me see. Was it? I am gonna. Every one of you is no. But this and that, and they'll bring. We will be speaking about that. That you know are true because they're in your own books. They're not in. So we'll be speaking about that. I'm not. I haven't forgotten. That will be. But later on. So, Mufti, what do you think about the Ahmadiyya? You know, I want to speak about the Ahmadiyya just briefly. Few words. I was speaking to Dr. Mir Faisal after yesterday's Mind Trap, and he said to me, you know, afterwards, after we went off the Mind Trap, and he said to me, Mufti, that why did you attack the Qadianis? Yeah. So I said, look, I've been asked this before. I do explain it. I haven't got anything against the Qadianis. Yeah. In fact, me in the past, I've been very tolerant. I've been calling people to tolerance and, you know, be respectful and of the Qadianis. But I said that they started to troll me. And I don't get why they started to troll me, because you would think that they would want to build bridges with people like me. Why would they troll me? Like, why not troll people calling them kafirs? I'm one of the good guys. As far as they're concerned. So why troll me? And they started trolling me. And I asked them nicely, look, please stop. Desist. You know, this one not nice. Then they started making videos refuting me. And then everybody's they're spamming every single page of mine with, you know, the bunch of like 50 of them with the same thing. Watch this, getting refuted. So I did say to them, look, please stop. I asked nicely. I did say that, look, please refrain from this, because this is not, you know, this, because once I start, anyway, I eventually trolled him back. But you know what? This wasn't interesting. This part I've shared before. What was interesting is what Professor Mir Faisal said to me. He said to me, do you know why they trolled you? And I said, you know, I don't know, you know, baffles me. He said, I'll tell you why they trolled you. They only troll you and Javed Ghamidi Saab. Because he said that in Sunni Islam, they see you and Javed Ghamidi, although he speaks in Urdu, but they see you guys as a huge threat from a perspective of rationality. Because you see, the thing that Qadianis present to their own followers is that we are very rational. These Muslims are bloodthirsty, dogmatic, kind of like inbreds almost. You know, but that's the picture that they paint. And it doesn't take long for that picture to be actualized, because Muslims are very intolerant of Qadianis. So when Qadianis watch online what Muslims are saying, they're going to see a Deobandi, a Brelvi, a Salafi, everybody just going, oh, they're kafir, you deserve to die. They don't speak from reason. So the Qadiani preachers tell their following that, look, you see, we are a people of reason. Ghulam Mirza Saab showed us reason. Now, he said to me, when their followers have come across you, it's kind of knocked them over for six. Like, these people have felt that, wait a minute, but these people are speaking reason. Now, the only response they can have to that is that, oh, well, they're taking it from us. This is why that guy's video is saying every point I've ever made, he's just saying, oh, he took this from Ghulam Mirza Ahmed Sahib, he took this from Hazrat, he took this from Hazrat, he took this from... I'm thinking, yeah, you know, if like the way you're going, like if I wipe my nose, you're going to say, well, oh, he took that from Hazrat. You know, everything is from Hazrat. Why, you know, for God's sake, I've never read anything that he's, you know, why do you... And that's the only way they can then sell this to their following. And that really, it struck a chord that it makes sense, actually. I see, it makes sense. Yeah, so people, Hafiz Jalandhari Sahib. He's an amazing poet. I have much respect for. Mufti Saab, don't be joining the Dajjal. Mufti Saab, will you debate with an Ahmadi? I mean, what would we debate about? What would we debate about? Seriously, what is it to debate? I mean, I'd have if there's a reason-based Ahmadi, put him in touch with me and I'll look into getting him on one of my mind traps. But they have to be reason-based and they have to be very, you know, I don't want these intolerant... One of these Ahmadis asked me that he wanted to come on mind trap, so I will actually set up a WhatsApp thing with him to kind of facilitate that. As soon as he came on on WhatsApp, first thing he just started refuting. Oh, you know, you disrespected the watch. What's going to happen to you? Watch, you know, the punishment and this and that. He, you know, people are going to say I'm swearing. He became Mullah Umar. As soon as I was like, you for real, you bloody numbskull, trying to threaten me on my WhatsApp. Cha. Hamari cat, hum pe attack. I was like, cha. Good thing you're sitting over there in Canada. I was like, how dare you come on my WhatsApp and then threaten me? Anyway, right, so this is the thing. So I haven't got time for people like this. And I haven't got anything against Qadianis. I'm being very upfront. I think, I'm going to be honest with you, I think they are unfortunately just stuck. Because they're just born into it. And and obviously the fact that they're persecuted consolidates their beliefs. But yeah, if there's somebody reason-based, tell him to get in touch with me and I will be happy to, at some point, do that, you know, to do a mind trap. Nincompoop. I don't nincompoop. I don't know what is nincompoop. I gotta find out the meaning of a nincompoop. Right, so will you debate? Will you debate his member? See, my argument of debating is the other person, if it's Islamic, must be a scholar. The problem with Hizb ut-Tahrir is they don't have any scholars. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? Right, guys, let's... the Wahhabis that... Let's... People. Right, so I've got here... I want to share a few words on those of you that are aware, that do follow the world of Bollywood or are familiar with it. This is Sushant Singh Rajput. Now, he, in the past few days, committed suicide. Young person, so much going for him. Now, I wanted to say a few words on this. That it's not so much about... because it's not so much necessarily about him, but it's about this whole concept. Yeah. Now, it got me thinking, you know, there's so many people that unfortunately commit suicide worldwide on a daily basis. But there's something disturbing at an existential level when celebrities commit suicide. Now, this is why I'm interested in the topic. It's not because I get the fact people will say, well, I don't care less, I don't care, so many people commit suicide. And that is true, so many people do commit suicide, unfortunately, on a daily basis worldwide. But there is something that shakes the soul when a celebrity does that. And I was trying to figure out what is that? Like, why do we feel more perturbed, disturbed when a celebrity or somebody with an immense amount of success kills themselves? And that is it, because this is what got me thinking, yesterday. I was thinking about this. And it's the thought that we feel that, look, people who, let's say somebody is struggling with so many things in life, there's the poverty, debt, all these kind of things, that they crumbled beneath that and they kill themselves. But when we see somebody who's at, incredible heights of success, has money, has, everything that we can think of. If it's a man, for example, has women, has fans, has, fame, has sports cars, a variety of, like this particular actor, Sushant, I think he had a hobby in buying different kind of sports cars, and he was known for dating so many different actresses, and he made certain incredible movies. There's people may have watched Kai Poche, which was an award-winning movie, and a very profound movie. Definitely, if you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth watching. Very incredibly, one of the best, amongst the best movies that Bollywood has produced. Now, when you see somebody like that who's good looking, somebody who's been blessed with so many things in life, how do they crumble? And if they can crumble, I guess it's the notion that then what hope do the rest of us have? It's maybe these things that shake us much more at the death of successful people. And I think that's why, and somebody, Terence saying, well, all of that clearly didn't matter. But I think it does matter in life. Let's be honest, these things do matter in life, Money does matter. People that tell you it doesn't matter are lying, or they're deluding you and them, themselves. People that are saying, achievements don't matter in life they're not being honest, because achievements do matter. And that is an incredible list of achievements. But yeah, so this is where I wanted to kind of share these thoughts on it, that, damn, that it is profound. And suicide in and of itself is such a, where did I put that? Let me see. Here it is. Now, there is a quote by Albert Camus, who had argued throughout his lifetime that there is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Now, it's amazing that, you see, Camus, what he argues is that human beings can't actually argue against suicide, because because why not? I mean, and it's such a scary kind of discussion that he has in his book, arguing that why don't people, and it's almost surprising that more people don't commit suicide. But yeah, it's and I think in some ways, I've spoken of this before, I think suicide, the fact that we as humans have cowardized the act of suicide, is that really a defense mechanism for ourselves? Is that we don't want other people to kill themselves because we fear that we may kill ourselves? And it's a kind of like a defense mechanism that if we can demonize them, then we thereby avert the action to ourselves, psychologically speaking. Yeah, I don't know, but it's a very profound topic, one that is far too easily trivialized, I think. And from an Islamic perspective, I do feel that it's not as simple as people place it. And I don't feel that people that have committed suicide go to hell and stuff like this. I don't think that that's true. You know, these kind of hadith, if true, are simply kind of deterrents. That's all. They're not something which a person actually goes to hell for, something like that. But yeah. Do you understand why Mufti's soul is shaken? Yeah, my soul is shaken. Because I find these topics kind of profound. I have for a number of years, actually. And in fact, recently, less so, surprisingly. But for a while I used to think about these things so much. Like I think not in a I suppose when I say it sounds morbid, but for a good number of years I think I probably thought of the concept of death probably almost daily, if not daily, then every other day at least. I would say arguably, ironically, in the last maybe year or so, it's probably been much less that I've thought like that. But I used to think like that so much. And it's not like in a morbid way, but I just would kind of like, philosophically just think about these things. And not that I wanted to think. This is another thing. You probably think I don't want to think. But it's just like I would kind of be just so, I don't know, just psychologically frozen by this concept and philosophy. But yeah, moving on, I just want to share that. So don't do it, Mufti. Relax, I'm not doing it. My haters would love that. It would make their day. Accept the Ahmadi Muslim details, please. James Bond. Monks sometimes perform this exit. What is this exit? Shrooms? The narrations about music, there isn't a single Sahih hadith on music, and even Abu Bakr ibn Arabi has said that, other people have said that. You see, Abu Bakr ibn Arabi, in fact, in his Ahkam al-Quran, mentions that there's no Sahih hadith fi hadha al-bab. Lam yasih fi hadha al-bab shay. There's nothing. And that's true. Music is not haram. Yeah, but if you want to believe it's haram, do whatever you... And, the chains, saying that, look, some chains, I believe them to be valid. Somebody mentioned a chain here. I'll check that chain out. Sure, I'll go through it. It's not a problem. But I'm more than certain it's problematic, because I have in the past gone through them, and I found all of them to be problematic. Right, so people, right. Mufti, you accept the Ahmadi debate. Details, please, man. What to do, man? What to do? Look, I've already explained, and this is the problem. You see, now this is the problem. This is what it's the same game that they're playing. You see, they want me to kind of troll them. Yeah. Now, I am saying nicely. You see, I'm saying it very decently. Did I not say that? Look, I'm not gonna right now troll you. I'm saying it nicely. Get one of your reason-based scholars and tell him to reach out to me. Do it on Instagram. There you go. That person directly, not 50 of you saying this person. Just tell that person to reach out to me directly, introduce himself, and we'll take it further as a dialogue. Now, I'm saying this very in a civil manner. That's how I do things. That's how I do my mind traps. I don't go on there and start shouting at people. I don't go on there and start, oh, I want to debate you. Oh. And look, if you want that kind of a debate, there's all these Deobandis sitting there dying to debate you. They are dying to debate the Qadianis. Debate them. Go, debate. If you want, I'll set it up for you. I will have a dialogue, a very civil dialogue. We'll speak. But get one of your best people to now stop trolling. Because this is what you want. You want to kind of show me as somebody hateful. Now, I'm not being hateful. I'm being very reason-based. Just go do it. You just stop trying to troll. Zeba saying, tell me who is trolling you, I will go and beat them up, Mufti. Shukran, shukran, shukran. Right now. Mufti, get Ali Atay on your... I'm not sure who Ali Atay is. But do reach out to me, let me know, and reach out to them. If you have any guests in mind, reach out to them, ask them first, and then if they're cool with it, then set it up. Reach out to me, and because sometimes if I ask them directly, it becomes a bit kind of tense for some of them. Right, so... right, people, let's speak about the nature of the Quran. People, now, I want to address this topic about the nature of the Quran. Right, I'm not going to exhaust this topic today. I will cover it, but I'm not going to exhaust it. I will read through a lot more as well of what other people are saying. I'm not so far convinced with the other arguments that people put forward on things like to do with the qira'at and the ahruf. Everybody by now knows what that means, so it requires no explanation. Even I have been through Javed Ghamidi Saab's understanding, which is articulated by Dr. Salim Shahzad. Now, I have heard that. I'm not so far convinced with the argument that they've put forward, but just to do justice, I have ordered Dr. Salim Shahzad's book. It's a very detailed book, so once I've gone through the whole, the book or a reasonable amount of it, I will be able to revisit their argument in much more clarity. But I need to speak about this because a lot of people are asking, especially because of Sheikh Yasser al-Qadi and what he's done. Now, we'll come back to Sheikh Yasser al-Qadi in a moment, but let's speak about right now, what is the nature of the Quran? People are asking, has the Quran been preserved? Why are there variations of the qira'at and what on earth is this ahruf, these different letters, or what does that mean? Yeah, so let's take this let's take it by the horns, this whole debate. And I will, like I said, in the future, once I've been through all these other people's arguments, go through a much more lengthier version, okay? But right now, this is it. This is what you're going to get, people. So, right, this topic, has the Quran been preserved? Now, the biggest problem here, so first of all, yes, the Quran has been preserved, but I'm going to answer that just as a very quick yes, but come back to it in just a moment. So we're going to pause that. I'm going to tell you what the greatest challenge here is. The greatest challenge is not that Yasir Qadi Sahib has decided to say, right, the audio is playing up. See, just as I decide to begin this, the audio starts to play up. One moment. And then just as I decide to do that, oh, that's better. Alright, that hopefully is better. Let me just check. Yeah, hopefully that's better. Let me see, somebody said shaitan. Yep, that's excellent. Right, okay, good. Good. Sounds like the vacuum's on. Right, no, you know what that is? That seems to be the fan of the laptop. I hope it's not interfering. Is it interfering? Is the sound still not? Let me see. It's good. All right, cool. Right, so let's get back into this topic. Is the Quran preserved? Yes, it is preserved. What does that mean? That's what I'm going to unpack for us. Now, the biggest challenge here is not what Sheikh Yasir Qadi has said. It is not that there are different qira'at. It is not. The biggest challenge here, people, is for most people to unlearn what they've learnt. This is your biggest, hurdle that you will be facing. It's the things that you've been learning that were unnecessary and weren't actually accurate. So let me tell you what Muslims have been saying. Muslims have been saying the Quran is the Quran is something that everywhere you go around the world, not a single vowel is different. If the Quran was to be eradicated today, you could pick one person from Africa, one person from China, they would write it out identically, every single this claim, in addition to other claims, by the way, like things like Islam is the solution to all your problems, Islam is an absolute way of life, Islam is these claims that you guys have been hearing. These are very recent, by the way. These are claims, reactionary claims to modernity. So they began with colonialism as a reaction to colonialism and modernity. You won't be, like, if you went back hundreds of years, like let's say you went back 800 years, 1,000 years, 1,200 years, you won't find these claims. Muslims never used to say stuff like this. Now, you may be able to infer, so for example, somebody may make a statement like Islam, praising Islam and how Islam does deal with many aspects of life, but they never used to say things like Islam is a way of life. Islam is a system for your whole life. They never used to generally say things like this. Islam is the solution to all your problems. They never said this. Islam isn't the solution to all your problems. Where did you get that from? That's, that sounds nice, but there's nothing, it's just a false statement. Because if that's, you could get a person heavily depressed. Okay, what's my solution? Okay, Islam, go on then, give it to me. How do I, what is it? There is no solution. These are empty statements. They are not in any of these Islamic books. You don't find these kind of a statement in, like, Islam is the solution to all your problems. It never existed. Every single vowel in the Quran is unchanged, and it's like this and it's like this. These people never said that. The Quran never said that. Yes, Muslims started to say that in the 19th century when they were faced with colonialists and modernity. So what happened is they were seeing a new way of life. So, and part of what the colonialists were doing was attacking, deconstructing other religions, and they were proselytizing people to Christianity. Now, so they were proselytizing people. So Muslim clerics started to, and it wasn't just Muslim clerics, other people. You see, with the rise of modernity, religions at the beginning of the 20th century and the late 19th century, they kind of like entrenched themselves deeper into fundamentalism as an attempt to hold on to their identity. Okay, because they were having a huge identity crisis. So they start to make all these grandiose claims. And the same thing happens, with Islam. So you start to see all these clerics coming out with all these things, saying, that, oh, Islam is the solution to our Quran. You're talking about your Bible doesn't make sense. Our Quran, however, and they were praising the Quran, rightly so, but they started to get carried away. They started to say things like, no single vowel in this, let alone a letter, began with words. No words are different, let alone words, not a single letter, let alone letters, not a single vowel is different. And remember, travel wasn't that huge. The world wasn't a village the way it is today. So they hadn't seen other parts of the Muslim world. They didn't know that people in the other parts of the Muslim world actually recite the Quran differently. You see, so what starts to happen is, maybe some of them did know this, but they just went with this claim because it sounded nice to them. So they started to yell this at the top of their throats. Every single vowel, and they hammered this into their younger generations, who hammered it into their younger generations, who hammered it into you guys. Now, you guys, when I say you guys, I mean I include myself in that generation, that we were brought up with this understanding that, oh, the Quran is, not a single vowel has been changed, not a single thing, every single thing is identical with every single mushaf everywhere. This belief was never stated by the Quran. The Quran never ever said that. You read the Quran, it never makes this claim. The Sunnah in fact, the Sunnah makes the opposite claim. This is the crazy thing, is the Prophet is saying one thing. The Prophet is actually saying to the Muslims, the Quran unzila ala sab'ati ahruf. The Quran was revealed dynamically. Dynamically. It has a dynamism to it. What is dynamism? That it moves. It's not static. Muslims in the 19th century, no, every vowel is so super static, everything is the same, the Quran's never said this. The Prophet said the opposite. But because we now have this hammered into us, we are now facing a crisis. Because we're now being told by Orientalists, which, by the way, is what the Prophet actually said, that the Quran is dynamic. we're being told that, oh, by the way, there's actually fluctuations and there's variations, and we're like, malfunction. Well, of course we're going to malfunction, because this belief was a corrupt belief. It was not accurate. So what was the Quran? Okay. Now, you see, I would like to, when I explain the Quran, now people explain it differently. Maybe some people won't like the way I explain it. I explain it in the paradigm of quantum physics, giving that kind of an analogy. Or like, and when I say that, or physics, if you like, because this, although this is real as well, but it's abstract. And the Quran, although it's real, yet language is abstract and revelation is abstract. It's not actually a tangible thing. It's not like this glass over here. It's language. Language doesn't have an existence to it, a physical, tangible existence. Neither does revelation. These are, intangible entities. So this is why, in that sense, I give the parallel of in the quantum world. Now, as revelation is being revealed, right, so you're going to have to bear with me as I break this down how I understand it, okay? As revelation is being revealed, there is a lot of dynamism. It's like the words that are being revealed, okay? What word manifests itself? This, whether you understand this part or not, I don't think it, if you don't understand it, it's not so much of a big deal, but this is how I understand it. As the words are being revealed, it is like how the quantum world behaves. That it has an unpredictability about it, which is inherent. So, for example, like, let me give you, this is not revelation, but I'm just giving you an example to relate. Let's say you wanted to say, I don't know, like put this over there, or put this book, or put this object over on that table. Now, you had a kind of meaning in your mind. Now, when you articulated it within a split second, you articulated it to say put, or you could have said place, or if it was an object, place this over there. Put this over there. Why one word and not the other? There is, now obviously there's a whole different discussion, but in a similar way, what I'm trying to say is the way the word appears. It is it has an unpredictability about it. And that's the same way. So the Prophet says in a hadith, revelation comes to me sometimes like a ringing sound. And it just appears. It could have been this word, or it could have been that word. There's an unpredictability. Does the electron appear over here or appear over there? There's no, the unpredictability is not a lack of information. It is inherent in the system. Okay, and that's how words, even with you and me, work. I know there's many we're familiar with, but sometimes there's just an unpredictability about them. And that's how they appear in the Quran. There is when it was being revealed, there was this dynamism. Now that dynamism, one is up at the point of revelation. The next point, it's in three waves. Yeah, the next point is with the Prophet as he is teaching people. There is an element of dynamism. Now this may have been to do with, people say that it made it easier. Certain Arabs read things differently. Some tribes would use certain words more than others. I suppose in a parallel, I'm not saying it's the same, but in a parallel, it's like saying American English, British English. There's certain variations. They tend to use the word elevator. We use lift. Now, it may be that for an American to kind of use to reiterate what I said, they may think they're saying it verbatim, but the word is different. Now, to them, that may be, no, that's exactly the same thing. And so that's an example. It's an approximation to make you understand that the Arabs used to sometimes use different words. So some people are saying, oh, Maliki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin, these kind of things. So, okay, but we know that this was happening. And this was all the dynamic nature of the Quran. This is how it was. So that's the second wave of dynamism. The third wave is after the Prophet. It's this dynamism kind of fizzles out, but it takes a while. It doesn't just imminently just stop. So you have in the time of Uthman radiallahu an, he comes up with a script. Now, you see what's interesting is the script is laid down in the time of the Prophet. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the one who commands people like Muawiyah and other people to write the Quran. And what's interesting is the Prophet chose the Nabatean Arabic script. Arabic we have today is the Nabatean Arabic. It's not the South Arabian Arabic, which really Arabia had. So the Prophet ﷺ chooses this script, which is today Arabic script. But before Islam, this script did exist in the Middle East and in some parts of Arabia, but it wasn't really the main script. The main script was South Arabian script, which they called Musnad. And that worked weirdly. I mean, it looks a bit like, almost like hieroglyphics. And it wouldn't have worked well with the nature of the Quran. And the Prophet chooses this script, and this is why, because Muawiyah and his family, Abu Sufyan, and they had played a key role in importing this script into Mecca. So Bishr ibn Abdul Malik is a person who was somebody that comes from Hira in the Middle East, and he comes to Mecca and he trades. And he is somebody who teaches this to Abu Sufyan and his family, and then he even marries into Abu Sufyan's family. And then Muawiyah learns it, and this is why Muawiyah was one of the scribes of the Prophet, because he's one of the key, people who inaugurate this script within Hijaz. So this is why he was an important person. Some people wonder, why was Muawiyah the person writing the Quran? Why wasn't it somebody else in early stages of Islam? Well, sorry, not early stages, but in Islam. That's because Muawiyah was one of the, from the family that bring this script, right? The other people didn't have that script, which today we call Arabic. Now, and who else is from that family? Uthman is from Bani Umayyah, is from that family as well. Now, what Uthman does in his time is he writes the Quran in a universal script. I'm calling this a universal script. It is a skeleton structure by which variant readings can still be read. Now you have to remember that no Uthmani script actually, no Uthmani Mus'haf actually survives till today, as in its entirety that we're aware of. Okay. Right. Somebody said, come on, Mufti, Muawiyah didn't write no wahi. Muawiyah did write. Muawiyah radiallahu anh was the scribe of the Prophet. But why was he the scribe? It's because of this script. Okay, the Nabatean script. It's really important that people don't know about these things. So we hear, and Muslim history hasn't hidden this. It's just that we've become blind to it, so we can't see it. People read, oh, Muawiyah was the scribe, and they think, people must have made this up just to big up Muawiyah. No, you idiots. Learn about cultural history. The Arabs didn't used to use the script this script came from Hira. Hira was in Iraq. It was not where the Arabian Arabs used to live. It was where the others, you had the Lakhmid dynasty, which was part of the Sassanid dynasty. They had nothing to do with the Arabian Peninsula Arabs. So, and they were using this script from the Nabatean Arabs, from Petra. obviously several centuries ago. Now but anyway, I don't want to digress. But my point is that, so Uthman radiallahu an, what he did was he came up with a skeleton structure, a kind of what I'm calling a universal script. This was really lines, and it kind of cursively incorporated and allowed this to be read with many variations. So you could read it with many variations. And he did that on purpose, because that was the dynamic nature of the Quran. And this then, when he sent the mushafs out, at least 5 mushafs he sent to different cities, and he said, look, whatever you have, you can replace them with this mushaf. This is the masterpiece. Okay, we're going to use this as the template, the blueprint. And from there, people read. Now, when you read that, you can read it with variation. You can read, there were readings like ta'lamun, ya'lamun, because that could happen. That's how it could be read. So these variations do not change the overall reading. Like they obviously change that word. They do change that word. But that's why the Prophet was trying to tell you. Do you know, this hadith is transmitted by so many people. The Prophet was trying to tell you the Quran has a dynamic nature to it. It's not static the way you are understanding. You see, this is the one thing that the Prophet reiterated so many times. That look, it has this dynamism to it. It is still the Quran. The Quran with that ability has been preserved. Now, yes, the way that is written, the way Uthman wrote the script. So, for example, let's say you have the verse, Inna Allah huwal ghaniyul hamid. Now, Inna Allah, the ha of Allah, the way it's written in that universal, what I'm calling the universal script, the skeleton, the ha could be in early times, because remember, Arabic letters were still developing this stuff. It could be understood as, is this a separate huwa? Or is it just the ha of the word Allah? Hence, some people went on to, when they made their own mushafs based on Uthman's mushaf, they made it as Inna Allah huwal ghaniyul hamid. And some people said, no, we're going to make it as Inna Allah ghaniyun hamid. Al-ghaniyul hamid. So, do you see what I'm saying? Now, so it would have that variation of that word huwa, because they're reading the ha of Allah as, is that a separate word, ha? Or is it still just, so it would make the word huwa, because they never used to elongate vowels like that, so in early script. So the ha sometimes would just be huwa. So this, now the question is, so okay, that's fine. Early, so the Quran had this had this dynamism to it. Now, the issue is that, okay, from here, certain readings became more popular than others. Now, I'm of the belief that, sorry, I'm just trying to bring this up as well. Somebody had sent me certain questions. I just want to make sure I do incorporate them. Now, if I can, that is. Right. When you're trying to do one thing. Right, so. Right, now. Right, here it is. So. People, you see, the understanding I go with is that the recitation that became popular was just kind of by chance. It wasn't something that, by and large, most of the recitation overall was similar. There were only subtle variations in certain parts that were written in that way. The one that ended up becoming the mushaf of today was by chance. It wasn't. It could have been one of the other readings, in my understanding. Now, I know that Javed Ghamdi Saab, oh, right, sorry. Right, I want to actually read this verse out. That it's interesting that how Allah, in Surah An'am, you see, when speaking about revelation, says, and this is very relevant, he says, وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِ, and they have not estimated Allah justly. They have not estimated Allah. And they say, look, إِذْ قَالُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَى بَشَرٍ مِّن شَيْءٍ. When they say, really look at this, God has not revealed any revelation. This is nonsense. It's full of contradictions. It's full of, oh, there's, like they're saying now, oh, there's variations, oh, there's different readings. And then Allah mentions that obviously about prior revelations, قُلْ مَنْ أَنزَلَ الْكِتَابَ الَّذِي جَاءَ بِهِ مُوسَى نُورًا وَهُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. But you see, the interesting thing here is Allah says, who revealed Al-Kitab, the scripture? Obviously Allah revealed. He's saying, this is, saying that, it's obviously begging the question here that, قُلْ مَنْ أَنزَلَ الْكِتَابِ, yeah? But then Allah goes on to say, تَجْعَلُونَهُ قَرَاطِيسِ. You make it a book format. Qaratis, on paper. Allah revealed it as scripture. You make it تَجْعَلُونَهُ قَرَاطِيسِ. And then obviously it mentions تُبْدُونَهَا وَتُخْفُونَ كَثِيرًا. But this verse that تَجْعَلُونَ, that you make it qaratis, that you make it something that is written down. Allah didn't reveal it as written down, because revelation has a dynamism to it that when you try to trap it, it will always have that kind of struggle. That's natural. So yeah, so I mean, I hope that explains in some way. Now people, you see, they never said ever that this Quran was something totally no vowel differs or no. They were very transparent about it. The hadith, the companion said, Sayyidina Umar's hadith about, look, one of the companions was reading differently and I beat him up almost. I got aggressive, I took him to the Prophet. The Prophet said, that's fine, that's a variant of the dynamism of this Quran. It can be read like that. It was different. Umar was like, wow, I was shocked. This was never a secret. This was very transparent. That look, Muslims, the Quran is read differently, and it allows for these things. So people might say, yes, but there's an extra word here. Of course, that word is coming from that universal script as Uthman wrote it. And this is how the Quran is read. Now the Quran says, and people say, yes, but Allah is saying, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Not that we revealed a script and we are preserving the script. We are preserving the remembrance. We are preserving. But the remembrance. Now the Quran is a revelation. It was never about vowels. It never claimed to be about vowels. It was never about pronouns. People say the pronouns are different, or sometimes and they vary, or there's an, you've got a separate pronoun huwa here, sometimes it's a connected who. It was never about this, and it never claimed to be about this. We are the problem of recent times. We in the last 150 years have started to make these claims. And then we've got stuck because we've just fallen right into our own trap. That people have said, well, that's interesting because actually there are variant readings. But the Sunnah was never secretive about that. It was very open, saying, look, the Quran is unzil ala sab'ati ahruf. It's been revealed dynamically. Now, people might say, Mufti, this, I'm not so, this dynamism, I don't know, shouldn't it be very straightforward, very simple? But reality sometimes is in that way quite complex. Like, look, I want to explain something. I've got a table in front of me, a very small table here. If you've got a table in front of you, anything, us, ourselves, we know as a fact that we are made up of atoms. Yeah. Now, this, when I say this to you, you say, well, duh, that's obvious. But atoms are by and large, for the absolute majority of the entity, are just empty space. We are categorically, overwhelmingly, just empty space. Every single thing is empty space. Now that doesn't, you see, now that sounds absurd. Right, I hope that's fixed it. Some people said there was some crackling. I hope that's kind of fixed that up. Right, so now you see, look. Right, I hope that's kind of fixed that. Look, everything around us is empty space. We are empty space. Now you think, well, that doesn't sound right, but yet it's a fact. I mean, this is a fact. It's not like something I'm just saying. This is how we understand the world, physics. So, now you'll say, yeah, but that's abstract. But language is abstract. Revelation is abstract. Understanding that the Quran, you see, if I'm looking at me, or I'm looking at this table, at this level, it is absolutely a solid. It is there, it is matter, it's taking up space. At that level, the Quran is preserved, of course, and it is exactly, not preserved ain't the right word, because we're saying it's preserved. It is absolutely there, it is fixed, it is static in that sense. We're seeing the whole Quran, we're seeing the Mus'haf. But then this, you go into it at a deeper layer, and then you start to see, well, actually things are moving around. There's empty space. This, and then if you go into subatomic level, so you go to atoms, then you go subatomic, and at a quantum realm, things appear and disappear out of nowhere. And yet it's still making this object right here. It's still making me, it's still making you, it's making the screen, it's everything. In a similar way, that's how I understand Revelation. That at its kind of subatomic level, it is still continues to be dynamic. And it's now, what does that mean? It doesn't seem like how we look at the book today, because obviously when I look at this table, I don't see empty space. I see something that takes up space, because I'm looking at it, observing it from here. So when we're observing the Mus'haf, we observe it as, yeah, this is complete, this doesn't change, nothing in here is changing, it's the same. But yes, certain readings, certain variations do fluctuate. Now this does beg the question, and I'll put this here because people may ask this, that does that mean if other companions read other things differently in the time of the Prophet, that it could have changed into that, it could have morphed? So let's say, for example, now we read this, let's say there's a verse that says, a different verse that says something about, I don't know, like something simple like يَعْلَمُونَ. Now imagine other companions, that verse, everybody read it as يَعْلَمُونَ, But imagine in the time of the Prophet, somebody read it as ta'lamun. Now, or there was verbs that are similar. If, like, let's say mercy and compassion, if certain companions had read it like that, would have revelation accommodated for them? This is a question, like, I don't mean for the ones it already has. What about those that they didn't do it to? Would have it still accommodated? Now that is a question. Obviously, you know, it is dabbling into hypotheticals, but I feel that it possibly would have. And that's what was meant by the dynamism of the revelation as it was being revealed. But that's a hypothetical question. Some people may disagree with that and say no, that, you know, it wouldn't have. But yeah, the reason I tackle that question is because people may be thinking that. Now, another follow-on question from that is, if that was possible, could we still do it today? I would say no, because the dynamism then fizzles out and it eventually gets locked in to its final stage with Uthman, the universal script. When he writes that script, things get locked into that. Now somebody could say, yeah, I could read today, like I could read ya'lamun as ta'lamun in certain verses. Let's just say I superimpose that. Can I do that? I would say no, because it's just stopped there. Now, that's how I would see it. Now people could argue against that. Orientalists could say, well, why not? You know, well, that's not how it was kind of passed on to us, and we will just take it as we received it. But in the time of the Prophet, I could understand that if they read it differently and the Prophet condoned it, it would have been part of the revelation. And that was what was meant by that it is dynamic. And the Prophet kept saying this, that this Quran is dynamic. Not the meaning, the structure of the words is dynamic. Ahruf. This is why the Prophet kept saying ahruf and not ma'ani, not meaning. Because the meaning, everybody can get that, the meaning would be different. But even the wording would have a flexibility to it. I hope this has given some understanding. Maybe people, you know, maybe to some people it wouldn't give much, but I hope it at least gives some clarity. Our biggest problem and hurdle is not these variations, it is unlearning what we have learnt. Right, whoa, that was quite intense. Right, so let's take a look, people, at is that why some manuscripts say Allah did so and so and others say he did so and so? I'm not so sure which manuscripts you're speaking about, Rami, but yes, who generally they used to write who as just the ha. So a lot of these elongated vowels, a lot of this is later development with Arabic script. So you will get in certain verses Allah, the ha with Allah has on some verses been seen as, is this a separate pronoun after it as well, which I explained, like inna Allaha huwal ghaniyyul hamid. Cool. Somebody said, I still don't get it. Well, yaar, you go back to sleep. Simply put, in a nutshell, the Quran is dynamic, and it's been dynamic. It's had a dynamic nature to it, which means that it was always meant to have been read differently. It's nothing new. The fact you're struggling with that is because you learnt something that you weren't meant to learn, which was you learnt that the Quran is static. Then you got stuck. And this is a modern claim made by only 19th century Muslims, 20th century Muslims. Muslims in the past never ever made that claim, that the Quran was static and only meant to be read in a particular way, and never changed in its vowels and wordings, and they never, and the Quran has been preserved with all its vowels and all its, nobody said that in the past. This is a new claim. Because you were bought into it, you were kind of sold this claim, you then now struggle when you find out that actually there's variant readings. But if you go to the Sunnah of the Prophet, It's constantly telling you that no, the wording is dynamic, not just the meaning. The wording too is dynamic. That it's in so many hadith, the Prophet is telling you that. So the problem has been you have been your own problem. It's not the Quran was never the problem. The Sunnah was not the problem was you understanding onto a false claim. The Quran never ever claimed to preserve the voweling and doing things like that. And it just said that it will preserve the Quran, which is dynamic, and words will be different in it. People will read it differently. They will, and that will be the Quran. So you're going to struggle with that, but it's a reality, and it's how it's been preserved. And in an atomic sense, I said, like, I tell you that all matter around you is predominantly empty space, and you struggle to accept that, but it's a reality. You see, but when you're looking at it at that level, that's how it is. But when you zoom out, you just see this as this is the Mus'haf, this is the Quran, it's in a book. Tika, that's like you looking at this table saying, table is solid matter, it's got no empty space in it. But when you zoom in, it's actually, for the most part, it's, nothing. For the most part, we don't exist. In that sense, we're empty space. So, yeah, it's a matter of perspective. Simply put, is my mic playing up again? Right, so somebody's saying the mic is playing up again. Damn, is it again? I'll do this, but I hope that's explained this topic. Alright, I hope that's a lot better. Acha, oh, it was fine. It was just some guy just saying that for no reason. Acha. These games, huh? Right, so anyway, I hope that explains. The problem is with you, okay? And it's with these mullahs who've been spreading this nonsense. That was never the claim of the Quran, and it was never the claim of Islam that it's the solution to all your problems, and it was never the claim of these things. They never claimed it. You claimed it, then you substantiated it, then you struggled with it. Shabash. But yeah, alright, cool. Right, so cool, let's move on, people. Right, now somebody said, answer what's the difference between today and the day in Arabic when the book says it is said like al-yawm? Why shouldn't it be al-yawm? The day. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I understand the question, that part of the question, that al-yawm would mean, let's say you're talking about today, al-yawm, and the day, which would be al-yawm. So how would you know the difference? Well, it would be easy, wouldn't it? Because al-yawm, well, you'd read it as, if it was today, you'd read it as an adverb, and you'd put fatha on it, because it's mansoob. But if it was the day, as in it's a noun, it would have a dhamma, it would be nominative. Yaar. Yeah, that was your big ishkal, that was your great kind of problem. You thought you'd test Mufti on his grammar. Acha. So, and if you're going to say, well, but they didn't have that in that day and age, of course they didn't. But the context would tell you, isn't it? Like, adverbs are used differently to nouns. You don't use an adverb the way you use a noun in language. Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? That people don't understand basic language, and then they ask questions which, fair enough, from a distance the question looks fine, like, oh, that's bloody hell, looks like a beast of a person, an 8-foot beast. You turn up and it's an inbred, it's an inbred dwarf. It's like, what kind of a question is this? Just as you don't use verbs as you use nouns, there's, you use adverbs differently in where you place them in a sentence. But yeah, anyway, just as in English, look, you can make sense of sentences, you can make sense of words. Homonyms, not looking at written script in English, there, the way you spell these, how can you tell the difference? When somebody says to you, how can you tell the difference when they're talking, when they say, oh no, it's their pen? Why don't you think their, as in, their pen? Why don't you think you're saying, look, their pen? Because you're not retarded. You're like, because I understand language. Right. So anyway, guys, let's move on to so this, a lot of these kind of things are easily understood. And that, by the way, al-yawm would not interfere, even if it was a noun or an adverb, it wouldn't interfere with the script. It would simply interfere with the meaning you're saying. So it doesn't really, it's not a question on the script, which is what we were dealing with. Okay, now let's move on to why did we end up with this issue? Oh, before we get there, people, I wanted to share, actually, I'd come across I don't know if you guys can see this, but somebody had asked for some treatment of the evil eye. And what they were told is this is the method that you remove it. So you read certain salatu wassalam and stuff like this. But then step 1, which would really be step 2, but okay, but proactively step 1, get 11 red chilies, the long dried ones. And then it tells you what to do with these chilies. And where do people get this stuff from? And it doesn't stop. This seems to be a universal thing, people. Check this out. Right, my wife wants to stay with a Hindu man. So she's fallen in love with a Hindu man. So in order to win her back, is there a special dua that God has revealed in the Quran? Has God revealed in his book a special recitation that can win back women from Hindu men? Lo and behold, people, not only is the solution there, but it's also to do with pepper, chilies, but a different kind, pepper on this occasion. So it mentions the solution is, after Isha, take 11 grains of black pepper and recite Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Wadud, Allah, Allah, Allah. And whilst thinking of your wife to love you, blow, blow. Yeah, don't accidentally blow blow on the Hindu guy, not blow the guy. Don't blow on the Hindu guy, blow on who? Blow on the black peppers and put them in burning fire. And do this for 40 days. For God's sake. This is what we're dealing with, people. This is what we're dealing with. So, yeah, for the love of God, this is the kind of stuff we've got to deal with. Now, moving back to the topic, why were we even discussing this? Those of you that know, this was this is what it was all about.
That are true because they're in your own books. They're not inventing anything.
Masala
They'll
moment.
bring you riwayat and they'll bring you athar, and then you add to that very well-known issues of, I don't even want to be explicit. Then you bring on top of that makhtutat, and then. And it's very clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Okay?
So, many of you may be familiar what Sheikh Huzur Qazi Saab did. Is he went on an interview with Muhammad Hijab, and what he decided to do in that interview is no, he never decided. To be fair to him, Muhammad Hijab sprung on him this question, this controversy to do with the Quran not being preserved. What is this about? You know, because how do we have these different manuscripts or these different variants, and what's going on? And Yasir Qadi Saab, what he does is he decides to just be very open. And he decides to say, well, you know what? I'm going to just pour my heart out and say that we've got huge problems with the Quran, yeah? But then what makes it worse is he doesn't give the solution. Like, he keeps saying this is something we shouldn't be discussing in front of people, shouldn't be discussing this in front of people, but then he carries on discussing it but only discussing the problem part, yeah? And when it comes to the solution, he says, well, you know, this is really complicated, why don't you go on my course? Right, so why don't you go on my course, and, you know, I had 100 people on it, and join my paid course, and what I'll do is I'll take you through the answers. But there was a point in there where Muhammad Hijab says to him that, look, if I gave you a blank mushaf, a blank Quran, and you can use any mushaf you want, but you have to rewrite the Quran, would you rewrite it with pretty much what we have today? And for some reason, right, so what happened is, after this whole episode of Muhammad Hijab kind of pressing him, and him deciding to have this moment of epiphany and transparency, and I want to just pour my heart out to the world, right? This backfired so badly. People flipped. The mob flipped. Worse than that, Muhammad Hijab realized that, oh my God, this has backfired on him as well, right? So people turned on Muhammad Hijab. What does Muhammad Hijab do? He turns on Yasir al-Qadi. He has a, if I can, let me just see, where was the, I had it here somewhere. Right, here it is. So this is a part of Muhammad Hijab's Facebook post. He decides to make a Facebook post saying that Yasir Qadi against him after the interview, he will be refuted. Huh? He will be refuted. Boy, you're finished. He will be refuted. This is what... So Muhammad Hijab decides to, you know what, let's just turn on him. This bichara had come on there, and you know something? This... Yasir Qadi had come on there and thought, you know what, I'm gonna have a heart-to-heart.
हमें पूछो क्या होता है बिना दिल के जिए
Hi.
बहुत आई गई यादें
He decided to come on there and do a heart-to-heart. Little does he know that Muhammad Hijab turns it on him and says, if I think he's being a deviant, and if he's going to be a deviant, we're going to refute him. We're going to turn on him. And this is who he, by the way, Yasir Qadi would never agree to come and have a dialogue with me. I had asked him, let's have a dialogue. No. I would never backstab any of my guests. I wouldn't do that. Not my style, you know. I mean, I may ask them questions. I may do that, but I wouldn't backstab them. You know, I wouldn't kind of call them on, press these questions, and then say, oh, you know what? He needs to be refuted. So this is where you've got this statement by, obviously, Muhammad Hijab to gain his own popularity.
Finished. Wallahi, you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished.
Allah, Allah, एतबार ना रहा. This is what has happened, people. This is what. But I want to say, look, listen, people. In many ways, Sheikh Yasir Qadi, Muhammad Hijab, in many ways, this is for them just chickens coming home to roost. They are part and parcel of this mob culture of creating this, we need to refute people. This, you know, this refutation culture of like, oh, if you're and Yasir Qadi is one of the biggest proponents of this. Not so long ago, he made a video where he was speaking about me. He doesn't mention my name, but he's saying, yeah, you know, this, and he's speaking about these so-called muftis, and he says that this scholar, we wish he would, rather than claiming to be Sunni Maliki, just claim to be of another sect, non-Sunni, Mu'tazili or something, so we don't have to refute you. Acha. And now, you know, check this out, people, check this out. Sheikh Yasir Qadi, Qazi Sahab, when, you know, look, this is my nasiha to Americans. You know, Americans really don't know how to handle this stuff. Two things they can't handle. One seems to be they can't handle women. As soon as they get on certain, as soon as they get to certain kind of fame, usually there's a big problem, you know. And two, they can't handle controversy. People, I king of controversy, you know. Come ask me how, and I'll help you out. I'll give you some tips. Qazi Sahab, Yasir Qazi, look, when he's being asked, Halloween, no. Too controversial. Won't say Halloween is permissible. No. Merry Christmas. No. Toba. Too controversial. Music. Is it? Can you clearly say music is not haram? No. Too controversial to be clear. You know, too controversial. You know, this one not nice. You know. Men's jewelry, controversial. No. Acha. Hijab, too controversial. Beard, too controversial. Bukhari Gate, can we speak about Bukhari Gate? No, too controversial. Acha. The first controversy he wants to begin with is the Quran isn't preserved. That's like no foreplay, just anal. Oh man, what is this? what is going on here? I mean, is that the controversy you want to begin with? That, things like Merry Christmas is too controversial. Halloween is too controversial. So you want to begin with that the Quran is not preserved. the backbone of Islam. This is the thing, and people might say that, oh, but Mufti, you're being harsh on him, but am I? Because in all honesty, this is the thing. This is what you get. One, this is what you get for promoting this culture, creating this culture, and for even up until recently being a part of it. This is what you were doing. This is what you're doing with people like me. Oh, this is a deviant sect. These are deviant people. This is wallahi, wallahi, ya akhi, this is deviant, And then for thinking Muhammad Hijab is a friend, he would never come on a show with people like me or other people, but he wants to come on a show with Muhammad Hijab. One, Puttar, labba swad. This one not nice, my friend, واحذر لسانك من خل تنادمه. Allah, beware of what you say in front of these so-called companion friends. إن النديم لمشتق من الندم. Allah, Allah, Allah. This is it, people. But then it comes back and it bites you. This one bite. And so for being so foolish and stupid, you see, you have to that's his own fault. And look, let me tell you something. He kept saying, oh, we shouldn't discuss this in front of the public. No, don't discuss this in front of the public. Don't discuss. Abe o mere chache. Discussing the question was the problem, not discussing the answer. When it came to the answer, he started saying, oh, come on my course. Everybody join enroll on my paid course, and I will then give you the answer. Arey, oh, Maha Qazi Saab. The question was the problem, not the answer. Give them the answer, or give them some answer. And then he's like, oh my God, I've got so much hate now. I've got so much hate. And because now the public are either going to force him to pretend he doesn't believe in in his problems and pretend that there's no problems that he sees, or he's going to have to own his truth and become further disowned. And it's chickens coming home to roost, because, this... Let me tell you something. What? My uncle, legend, may Allah bless his soul and have mercy on his soul and grant him an elevated maqam in Jannatul Firdaus. Once we were in Karachi, when we were chatting, and we were talking about someone. My uncle was telling me about this person, and he was kind of criticizing him. And I said to my uncle, I said, Mamu, I said to him that, because the person that we were speaking about was poor, poverty stricken. And I said, look, gharib hona, koi ghalti thori na hoti hai. And my uncle said to me, he said, हाँ यार, he said, ye to hai. He said, gharib hona, ghalti nahi hai. I said, look, the person being poor isn't you can't fault him for that. And he said, हाँ यार, he said, that's true. गलती होना, गरीब होना, गलती नहीं है. He goes, मगर फुद्दू होना बहुत बड़ी गलती है. This is the problem, you see. Like you see, being an idiot, this is your fault. So when you decide to come on come on live and make these kind of dumb statements and then not even qualify them, not even, you know, when the person's asking, just to kind of dramatize the whole thing, would you be able to write a Quran that looks like the Quran today? Oof, that's a very complex question. Oof, yeah, what a complicated, yeah, this one, hada su'alun, oof. What is it? You know, سوف نلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا. Yeah, what on earth is this guy on about? Just look, say what you have to say, and then just give some clarity. You know, say that, look, of course, the Quran is going to be the same Quran, yeah? What other Quran am I going to write? Oh, this is complicated, you know, this one. And then people are obviously having a field day. Ex-Muslims are having a field day. Jay Smith is going on about it. He's made a whole video. All these Islamophobes are loving it. So yeah, so this was the story of our beloved Qazi Saab, who is right now heartbroken.
हमें पूछो क्या होता
क्या होता है यार?
बिना
हाय
दिल
हाय
के
हाय, जिए जाना, बिना दिल के जिए जाना. This is how Qazi Saab right now is living without a heart. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what happens, people. That's what happens. So yeah, so I had to cover that part, and I hope but before I went into it, I wanted to cover the topic beforehand of the dynamic nature of the Quran, so people already know that. Somebody said Yasir Qadi equals. No, I'm not saying. I no say that, yaar. I say his behavior is like. It's true though. His behavior was a bit, you know. And mark my words, you know something. He has only gone further down in his crisis because he will now have to choose. Does he remain true to himself? Like, does he own this, or does he now have to pretend? And he will lose so many more fans and so much more of a following that he's pandering to. Muhammad Hijab, I actually believe in, because he's young yet. Give him a decade, I feel he too will crumble under a similar crisis. Because these people, they began their journey from this kind of plateau that isn't sustainable. You know, with all these certainties that they claim, that just ain't there. And with maturity, that will kind of crumble. But yeah. Guys, I hope that's been of some help. People, let's wrap this up. He can step down now. I'm sure he can, but you know, he's going to lose it all, isn't he? This is why I was saying that I'm so glad that, alhamdulillah, that I did things my way. You know, like, at the end of the day, if my opinions change, they change. But people know that's who I am. They don't need to accept me, but I'm not pandering or sucking up to a kind of Frankenstein crowd who, you know, will then turn on me. Guys, let's wrap this up. As always, it's been awesome. I hope, you know, this has been of some benefit. I say this every week, and, you know, then I think, why do I say this? You know, do like my page, subscribe, yaar, leave a positive comment. Koi baat nahi, yaar. It happens. As always, take very good care of yourselves. You know, remember, when you look out at the world, people, see compassion. See, this is something that you ought to kind of I'll elaborate next time, but there was a very interesting thing. I was listening to an extract from Sheikh Hassan Farhan al-Maliki, where he was explaining the concept of taqwa, which I have explained is God consciousness, but he gives a very amazing angle to it, where he said, look, how does Allah in the Quran contrast taqwa? He says, تعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تتعاونوا على الظلم على الإثم والعدوان. That contrasts it with bir, piety, with sin, and taqwa with udwan, which is hostility and kind of oppression. So the opposite being compassion. And that is in essence what this deen fundamentally just boils down to. A simple message. Guys, as always, gonna love you and leave you with that. Take very good care of yourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, people. Alright.